It's Friday, the 27th of April, 2018, and this is your EV News Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Wherever you're listening around the world, a very warm welcome from London in the UK. And here is today's news about electric cars and the future of transport. My name is Martin Lee, and I go through every EV article online, so you don't have to. Coming up on the show today, we'll talk about Polestar 1 getting a price for the USA, and IKEA in France lending you an EV. But the top story today, according to Bild newspaper in Germany, and a story spread by Electrek. It's an image of VW's first full electric car, which was leaked today. This is the ID. Now, there were previously three of these, which we were calling the ID itself, the ID CROZZ with the Zs, and the ID Buzz. This has now been given a name. It's the Neo. It's the Golf-sized full BEV, and it's being put in production at the end of 2019 for a 2020 model year. So this picture is meant to depict an early production model of it, not just the concept car, of which they made one of, to show off. Now, this picture came to light today for, I'm guessing, a couple of reasons. Maybe a supplier leaked it. Maybe a member of staff at VW thought it would be a laugh. Maybe it's a really good Photoshop and this whole thing is a fake. Maybe it was put out there into the domain to get us all talking about it. I don't know. Well, assuming it is a picture of a production/prototype model, and it would fit into the time frame, because if it's on sale, if it's in production at the end of next year, 2019, then about a year, 15 months before the car goes into production, you're going to start to make a few early production models. And it would fit in with that timeline. Well, first of all, let's have a look at it. Very similar to the concept. It's that short, stubby nose that remains. The line across the car stays largely the same. As we're seeing with EV platforms, that little short, stubby nose designed for purpose, really, not a mutating of a design which was there to have an engine up front, but specifically built from the ground up to be an EV. The front bumper has a bigger, longer, horizontal open area that runs the width of the car along the bottom of the front bumper, like a big mouth, kind of sucking in air, I presume, for some battery cooling or something. Well, above that, as we've seen with designs like the Kona and the Model 3, no grille, doesn't need to be one, just the bumper coming up. That's where you've got the VW logo in the middle, some nice narrow LED headlights, as is the case now with most EVs, and that, what would have been the bonnet, I suppose it still is the bonnet, really, it doesn't cover an engine though, rakes pretty quickly up to the bottom of the windscreen. Now, the glass goes a long way down, as the concept did, and that big piece of glass for lots of light goes all the way up onto the driver's head. The side is pictured, and it's pretty conventional looking, if I'm honest with you, similar to the concept, but if anything, even more generic. Just exactly what you would imagine from sort of the next iteration of the Golf, if you like. What we can't see from this picture is the rear, and that was one of the best bits about the concept car. The wheels on the picture look like the Model 3 Aero Wheels with a little bit of extra silver detailing, but basically the same, I imagine, for maximum range. Very simple, very true to the concept car, the one you might have seen Johnny Smith featuring on Fully Charged. I really hope this is a real picture because it's stylish without being cutting edge. It looks modern without being scary. Doesn't look like an EV with a spaceship design, like the first Leaf. A reminder of the specs, by the way, and this could all change in the next year and a bit. They say real-world range of 400 kilometres, which would be incredible. No range anxiety there. And a price of £25,000, 30,000 US dollars. The euros are somewhere in between that. Now, the Bild article, behind a paywall, in German, obviously, VW want to make this 5,000 US dollars less than a base model 3. Now, we recently heard of the double-digit billion euro contracts that VW Group have signed for battery supply and tech supply that comes along with those batteries. The factories are being retooled now. The investment that VW are putting into their MEB platform is in huge numbers. And there was a lot of cynicism today on the forums and comment sections of articles, and that's understandable given dieselgate, given people aren't in love with VW, that they are in love with Tesla equally, and they'll just talk down anything else. There's like 1% of people that will do that. But I think to address some of those comments, this isn't a bluff. It's people saying, yeah, VW always say in the next 2 years there'll be an EV. You know, in 2020 they'll be saying 2022. That's not. They're spending too much money to be a bluff. And at the change at the top of the company as well, with Herbert Diess now in charge, he was the man that came from BMW, responsible for the i3 and the i8, pushing electric cars when nobody else was doing it. Look, this looks pretty real to me, or it's a really good Photoshop. Well, moving on, but staying with Volkswagen, and they're going to launch a 48-volt mild hybrid version of their Golf for the next generation. That is the 8th iteration of the legendary Golf. Now, Dr. Frank Welsh, he's the member of the board of management for Volkswagen passenger cars, responsible for technical development, said this, and I quote, "Electrifying conventional drives will enable us to further reduce consumption and emissions while also increasing dynamics and convenience. We are starting this extensive electrification campaign with VW's best-selling vehicle to date, the Golf. Our newly developed, cost-effective 48-volt mild hybrid will pave the way for introducing this type of technology to the mainstream." End quote. Now, Volkswagen will combine the combustion engine of the next generation Golf with a 48-volt integrated starter generator and a 48-volt battery. Don't know the size of the battery. That combo represents the gateway to the future of combustion engine hybrid models for VW. The 48-volt mild hybrid means you can coast with the engine totally turned off, thereby saving, they say, 0.3 litres of fuel per 100 kilometres. That obviously all adds up. And the mild hybrid solution also offers some improved dynamics and convenience as a result of the electric boost upon startup, says Green Car Congress. It's rumoured that the new Golf will make its first appearance at the 2019 Frankfurt Motor Show. And of course, by staying at 48 volts, that's not technically high voltage, requires less cost. Those orange cables that you see on EVs aren't required because it's not a high voltage system. The downside, though, of a soft hybrid, or mild hybrid as they call it, is no pure EV propulsion. Well, given our last two stories, the ID and the soft hybrid Golfs, I find it really hard to see a future for the newly revamped e-Golf, which is a lovely car, bigger motor, bigger battery for the 2017 revamp, but where does that fit from 2019, 2020 onwards? It probably doesn't. Well, moving on, and news from the Beijing show that's going on this week, not about a new car, but about the price of one that you already know about. That would be the Polestar 1. Plug-in hybrid, available online only, no dealers, and several websites today put a price of $155,000, a sticker price on that. And yet at the Geneva Auto Show back in March, Polestar's CEO, Thomas Ingerleff, told Autoblog this, and I quote, "Polestar will be a subscription service 100%, end quote. That subscription could be over 2 or 3 years. What I understand is that it's going to include things like maintenance and insurance. But what I don't understand, why is there a sticker price being given about this car? Is it to frame it so that you think, okay, I know that it's up against top of the whack Model X, for instance? Are you going to be able to buy one? As I've said before on the podcast, if you turn up at Polestar, not that you can turn up anywhere because it's online only, if you somehow got hold of them and said, I have $155,000, would you like them? Surely Polestar would go, yes, please, very much, thank you very much. They wouldn't go, oh, no, you've got to take out a subscription. It's kind of weird. We'll dig into it some more. Well, from Sweden to France with IKEA this time, or IKEA as you may call it, signed a partnership with Renault Mobility to offer its customers in France access to zero-emission cars and vans. The service is going to help customers make their way home with their shopping by providing vehicles to hire by the hour, reports Fleet Europe. The fleet will be all electric. By 2020, Renault Mobility will have 300 cars and light vans based at IKEA stores around France. Rates will start at €7 an hour. It'll include insurance and 100 kilometres of range. Customers can access the vehicles via the app. And let's face it, who hasn't gone to IKEA, bought something and gone, oh, it doesn't fit in the boot. Well, now you can hire an electric van. Well, you will be able to get it home. Well, we talked last week about the legendary designer Pininfarina, and now we've seen two models revealed at Auto China 2018 this week. They are the H500 by Pininfarina. It's a concept of a full electric sedan, saloon, as you might call it, depending on where you live. The interior features 4 single armchair seats with adjustable touchscreens for front and rear passengers, and a touchscreen that slides the door panels, making it easier to share entertainment. The other model they unveiled was called the K350. That's an SUV. It looks lovely, very modern, very well designed, but it kind of looks like most other compact SUVs. In my brain, they're starting to all converge. It's that compact SUV. Look, it's beautiful. There's nothing outstanding about it. It's equipped with cutting-edge technology, they say, developed by the Hybrid Kinetic Group, HK Group, for the traction, with a battery, the electric motors, and a power rating of 300 kilowatts on those motors, a control unit and a range extender, which enables the range of 620 miles if you're going to use the rakes on that. Well, let's move on to some trucks and Mack trucks. Part of Volvo, of course, plans to have a fully electric Mack refuse model equipped with an integrated electric drivetrain operating in North America by 2019. The New York City Department of Sanitation, one of Mack's largest customers, is going to be testing a demonstration vehicle in some highly demanding operations running purely on battery power. And finally today, as I hinted on the podcast yesterday, because it was teased, it was confirmed at the Auto China show today, the Toyota CHR crossover is a thing. It was announced to be ready for China only. Brilliant. In 2020, one of 10 electrified cars heading from Toyota to the Chinese marketplace. It'll be the first full EV that Toyota have made on their TNGA platform. It underpins the Prius hybrid and the forthcoming RAV4 as well. A pure BEV from Toyota. Who'd have thunk it? Well, I would love to spread the word about electric cars. So if you can, share this with somebody who might be interested. More than one person, and I'd love you. You can listen to every previous episode of the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, and the blog evnewsdaily.com. Remember to subscribe. It means you haven't got to think about downloading the show each day. Plus, you get it first and free and automatically. And if you could rate and review, that'd be great. If you have an Amazon Echo, download the Alexa skill called EV News Daily, 3 separate words, and you can add it as a flash briefing, and then you can ask your Amazon device, you can say, Alexa, play my flash briefing, and she'll play you this. Come and say hi on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter by searching EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you tomorrow.